Շատ ուրախ ենք ձեզ բոլորին տեսնել մեր info session-ին։ Ուզում եմ ասեմ, սկսեմ նրանից, որ EFSE Entrepreneurship Academy-ն եւ SmartGateVC-ն միասին AI Incubator-ի երկրորդ batch-ն են այսօր announce անում ու info session-ն է, որը որ remote հալնելու, բնականաբար այս COVID-ի պայմաններում ու մենք այսօր հրանտի հետ ներկայացնել ենք մեր ոնց որ ծրագիրը ու ոնց որ հազար հարցերն ենք պատասխանելու ու միասին ավելի լավ հասկանանք թե ուր են գնում ու ոնց որ ինչա լինելու So hi everyone, it's a great pleasure to see and meet you everyone remotely today. So EFSE Entrepreneurship Academy and SmartGateVC join forces for a second batch of Hero House AI Incubator Program. It will be held remotely because of COVID, and we are going today to talk about what the program is about, where are we going together, and of course ask all the questions and ask questions and get the answers. So, and with this, I'm moving speaker to my friend and colleague Ram Davtan. So he will go through a small presentation on a program.
Thanks, Vazgen. Ողջույն բոլորին։ Ես Սրանտն եմ։ Ինչպես Վազգեն նշեց, կփորձեմ կարճ ներկայացնել AI Incubation Program-ը։ Ընդհանուր կներկայացնեմ անգլերեն, բայց դուք ձեր հարցերը եթե ունենաք, կարող եք տալ համ անգլերեն, համ հայերեն։ Հայերեն հարցին կպատասխանենք հայերեն, անգլերեն անգլերեն։
Մեկ վարքյան ուզում եմ միակ ասեմ, որ նաև հարցերը ու կարող գրել թե Facebook-ի live-ի կոմենտներում, թե YouTube-ի commentary section-ում երկու տեղից է կոմենտները կտեսնենք։
So I'm going to move into English. So hello everybody, I'm Hrant, and I'm going to have a short presentation on AI Incubation Program. Whenever you have questions, please feel free to put your questions as a comment on YouTube or Facebook. We will see your questions, and if the questions are in English, I will probably answer in English. Otherwise, we will probably answer in Armenian if it is in Armenian. Feel free to ask your questions in both languages, okay? So let's start talking about the incubation program, okay? So this is a 26-week program, which is the whole duration of the program, starting from the application period till the demo day. The overall active duration of the program when the researchers, supervisors, companies are working all together is a bit more than 4 months, is 18 weeks. And during this time, we will have 12 companies, which will either have data on which we can start working on, or at least we'll have access to some data that can be used in the process. And we will have students working with these companies, and we will have from 4 to 6 supervisors from the field of machine learning and AI that will basically mentoring and supervising the process. So what we need to do as a supervisor of a company is apply in order to be considered for the program. So the supervisors and companies apply. Then after the selection process, when we select the companies that will be and the projects of these companies that will be considered for the program and to supervisor, we basically do a matching of companies and supervisors, and then the students and researchers apply directly for the projects, which is a pair of company and the supervisor variably to join them. Okay. So kind of it is a sequential process. We're going to have supervisor applications, company applications that are open right now. We will match them together. We will have like a problem from a company, a supervisor matched together, and the students will basically apply for the pair to join them. Okay. Once we have it, the research project component will start already, and we will actively work on the research goals, and in the end, we will present results during the demo day. So the overall concept is like this. What we are trying to do is we are trying to have students from universities most of the time. We're trying to have AI experts who will be supervising the students to conduct research for companies. Students presumably can continue working on the research during their capstone projects or thesis projects at the university. Companies can have the opportunity to collaborate with universities after the program. It's important to mention that the students that will be working on the project, this project provided by companies, in the end, the IP will be fully owned by the companies themselves. Okay, so the intellectual property is owned by the companies that come up with the projects. The end result will be the kind of the conclusion of the program will be kind of the demo day, and after the demo day, the companies can be considered for the participation for incubation and acceleration programs to the Armenia Startup Academy. And they may also be considered for some funding opportunities by SmartGateVC or elsewhere. Let's quickly go over and take a quick look to the main outcomes that we had for the pilot batch. It was a bit different from what we have right now. I mean, right now we are trying to have companies and supervisors together, matched, and then students apply when we already have company and supervisor pair. Last year, it was a bit different. So it was the pilot batch, and we already had a lot of success from the last year experience. We had 7 graduate companies and 11 researchers working on the problems and projects of these companies. And the interests covered were wide range. We had computer vision projects, we had fintech companies, cybersecurity and CRM, health tech and robotics, we had ad tech companies, and so on and so far. So it covered a wide range of industries, and we expect to have even wider for this year. We ended up having 3 letters of intent, and we ended up having 2 patentable technologies in the end of the program. So basically, we are pretty happy with the results, and we're sure this year we're going to have even better results. Overall, what we expect from company supervisors and researchers is like extreme commitment. Okay, so we want them to be very motivated and committed to succeed this collaboration. So if you try to translate it to hours of work, then obviously we expect everyone to try to work as much as possible to meet the goal. But in average, we expect the companies to have at least 2 hours a week contribution. Because, I mean, what we will be trying to do is develop an AI product or develop some AI component of a product during this, or research some part of the product during this AI incubation project tenure of the program. But it is very important for companies to be actively engaged in the process. Okay, so we want to make sure that these companies are having certain frequent meetings with the teams. They are providing the business problems. They are answering the questions whenever possible, because we want to make sure that the research that is being done is actually aiming for the goal, okay, for the target. And for this reason, it's very important to have active involvement from the company side. Maybe a person from the company dedicated to this, who can dedicate at least 2 hours a week to spend time talking to the team, researchers and supervisors, mentors, to make sure we are on the right track. And we also have right now a call open for supervisors to mentor the researchers. And for each project and per week, we expect to have at least 2 hours engagement from the supervisor as well. This includes, of course, some well, given the COVID situations, probably virtual meetings. But probably it includes even more than virtual meetings. Maybe studying or researching some problems that occur during the process, maybe looking through some papers and stuff, maybe answering some questions over the chat. So it can include a wide variety of activities, and all of them are dedicated to one single goal: make sure that we are able to provide the best possible support to the researchers to make sure they reach the goal that we basically set up in the beginning. So we expect from the supervisor as well to have at least 2 hours a week commitment, but of course more is always more is always better. Okay, And from the researcher's point of view, for each project, we believe that each researcher should spend around from probably 10 to 15 hours a week, which is like around a third of a full-time engagement. So from 10 to 15 hours a week commitment is what we expect from researchers based on the experience we had last year to make sure that we can actually meet the goals that we set up in the beginning, okay? So if you're interested and if you want to apply, and if you're like either a company who has a project or a supervisor who wants to mentor these researchers or a researcher who wants to work on this project, then this is what we expect, okay? So as a company who wants to have a project on which the development process basically will be carried out, on which the researchers will be working, then given that this is AI incubation program, obviously we expect either to have data, because probably we'll be training some models on some data sets, or at least have access to data, okay? So even if you don't have data right now, at least you have clear vision how you can access the data, so that whenever the process kicks off, whenever the teams are finalized and researcher is here and ready to work and we have the business problem, we want to make sure we have the data that these people can start working on. We want to make sure that we have a company that has at least more than one business challenge. So having one business challenge is important because we can work on that, but we want to make sure that we are flexible enough in terms of business challenges. So it's not like some very, very unique problem that we are only dedicated to just solving the single problem. We want to be a bit wider, a bit flexible to make sure we can increase the likelihood of success. We want to make sure we have companies that have more than one business challenge to work on. And as mentioned before, we expect commitment by the companies themselves, because in the end, this product will be owned by the company. So we want to make sure they have availability to work with supervisors continuously, okay? And also researchers, which includes participating probably online meetings, some discussions, maybe in written form, obviously providing on on-time basis the data that people can work on. From the supervisor's point of view, the most important thing we expect are passionate people who want to solve business challenges using AI and machine learning, who want to supervise younger generation, who wants to share their knowledge. So the number one thing we expect is a passion. And as a quantitative people, we expect to to have some expertise as well behind the passion. So we want to have people who have expertise around 2-3 years probably, or skilled in some of the fields of AI machine learning, whether it's like tabular data analysis, like more traditional stuff, or computer vision or NLP. So expertise in one or more subfields of machine learning of AI or AI around like 2-3 years of experience. And from the researchers, again, obviously we expect to be them very passionate, because this is an excellent opportunity to get hands-on experience working on real projects and being supervised by cool supervisors. And we expect these people to be very passionate about participating in the program and creating AI models. And we want to make sure that they can, A, commit the time I mentioned about, so 1/3 of full time, so around 10 to 15 hours per week, but maybe if needed more. It's really like custom. It is not like written on stone. It is dynamic. It depends on the type of the project, right? But in average, we expect 10 to 14 hours a week. And we want to make sure those are people who can commit during the whole duration of the program, okay? It's not like I can commit a lot of time this week, but then I'm busy during this throughout decision. That's why in the beginning I mentioned this is a 26-week duration program, which out of which 18 weeks is the active research period. So we want to make sure that we come up with a team of people who are able to commit during the whole duration of the program, okay, to maximize the success rate. So the key dates that I'm sure that most of you will be interested in. So we already started the selection and application procedure. They're in the middle of it actually, and we expect to finish this process on or before August 23rd. Then once this is finished, around August 23rd, afterward we start the onboarding and matching process. When we match the team, we pair them up to have the best possible chemistry between researchers, supervisors, and the business problems provided by the companies. From September 7th, basically 1 week after the beginning of September, we expect to start the active research period, which will take us all the way to 2021, okay, 2021. So we expect to work actively on researching the problems that we identified. We expect our supervisors, together with us, to actively mentor this younger generation throughout the year, so that by the end of January 2021, we will have an excellent showcase, a demo day with the work we have done throughout this 26 weeks or 18 weeks if we consider the research period. Okay. If you see that, I mean, I know that some people who joined us are representative of companies. Some people probably are supervisors and researchers. So if you're like one of these three groups and you feel passionate about this, you think as a company you need AI, you have data, and you need people who kick this process off, you're ready to commit your time, or as a supervisor, you think that you have the knowledge and experience and you're ready to share it with the younger generation and commit the time. And as a researcher, if you think that AI and machine learning is the way to go for you, this is what you see for your career, this is what you want to work on and get hands-on experience, then AI Incubator Program is for you. Thank you for joining us. If you have questions, obviously you can contact us afterwards, but the objective of this live stream is to actually go over your questions like during the live stream. So if you have any of them, please put on YouTube or put on Facebook comment section, and Vazgen and I, both of us, will be very happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ranjan, for this comprehensive presentation. So I have like 2 questions here. So I believe we answered some of them during the presentation, but let me read them. So Irshad Yarov is asking, what if we have an idea on how to get data and start collecting it before the actual research and development stage start? I guess the question is about like, if a company, if you are applying as a company and you have already ways of generating your data, yes, this will be very important to have already your data collected when you are at the state of the interviewing. We are going to interview all the companies. If you are a researcher or research supervisor, then I guess so. You are more or less bounded to the things that companies have. Irshad also asking, are supervisors and students, researchers expected to be from Armenia only? Actually, we expect them to be from Armenia only, but because the situation is so that everything is remote, we are very also open to have a remote participation. So answer is no. So you are very welcome to join the from other countries as well as a student or a supervisor. So one more thing. So we so the if you are so the actual the best one of the best reasons to apply as a student or supervisor to this program is actually trying yourself in to try to challenge yourself in some environments where research is really cutting edge, because there is no such known models, or probably some that these models are working on like for instance in a fintech, but the company or the expects it to be used in some other field. So it's very interesting motivation for trying something new. And also on the other hand, we really encourage people to continue research after AI incubation, and we have a lot of cases when this company and their research was continued and was bringing a lot of interesting collaboration later. So Mane Grikaran is asking, can you share some details on the researchers? Are they all students with no experience, or there might be some people with experience? No, it's not only the students. It's actually anyone who knows some basics of the AI and machine learning and has no experience or little of experience, and wanting to join as a researcher. Again, there will be interview. We will be during the interview we will test the skills of researchers. So if you are good at linear algebra, you are good at Python, you know test set, and you know what difference between test set and validation set, and linear regression or logistic regression, and maybe know some basics of neural networks. You are well welcome to join. So Bahek Hakokan, could you please reiterate again, how is this process different from training program conducted with ACA? So the program that is done by ACA is about when some students with knowledge of math joins to learn the Python and machine learning, and in the end do some project and then be hired by a company. So here is probably we are targeting the people as researchers who are already passed the ACA course. For instance, they already made the projects, they already have some experience. For instance, they know the machine learning, and now they are in some of them wanted projects for their resume. Some of them wanted to get the research published, maybe paper. Some others probably wants to join some company and see this company in a list of the companies we see on this incubation, and wants to learn more or join to do some research with this company, or the topic is interesting. For instance, we have like in last batch, for instance, we have a coin stats. That's the coin, the cryptocurrency statistics wallet, where you store all your transactions you made, and it's very interesting for someone who knows a bit of machine learning, but also very interested in, for instance, trading. And it was really unique case when you can both see the crazy data coming from all these people selling and getting the bitcoins or other coins, or on the hand, like approach it using the machine learning methods. Yeah, and for supervisors, it's actually the very good chance if someone wants to spend some time helping and solving some and also guiding some companies in the right direction of AI research. It's again very good opportunity. For instance, if someone is, for instance, doing a lot of image processing at work, or like, for instance, doing some financial analysis, and he thinks that he can supervise a project in, for instance, in some of these fields, and maybe something very, like, really creative, for instance, that's not usually part of his job, but here we will for sure have some projects that are really very creative, and it requires a lot of, like, for instance, reading papers, implementing them, and people want to supervise that project, get some, maybe one of the first in a sector, get some results when no one else got there, maybe publish a paper. All those things we will do, we will facilitate during this matching process, so it will be the correct expectation of a result, of a research and results. Yeah, so this is on difference and on more of like reasonings.
Let me add something to this as well. So again, speaking of difference between training programs and this incubation program, so training programs are kind of more supply driven. So the trainer comes into the room, and basically there is structured roadmap of like knowledge processing that the trainer is supplying. But this process is more demand driven. So we have the exact goal that demands some type of research, and we have the researcher who is working on that goal. And the experience, at least we had last year, it was like, yes, so Vazgen and I were supervising the process, and we were, of course, setting up a roadmap and whatever, but like most of the questions were coming from the researcher's side. So they were kind of, we were not teaching them linear regression, we were not teaching them convolutional neural network, we were not teaching them anything directly. They were learning it themselves, so they already knew it, but they needed advice, mentorship, and help to apply it for the certain problem. So like, what kind of loss function I have to use in this scenario to, I don't know, achieve better results, or what kind of feature engineering I have to apply, or what kind of transformations, how I can augment my data. So it is more of like demand side driven, demanded by the research objective and demanded by the researcher's side, than basically structured knowledge that we go on and provide. So it's very custom, and that's probably the main difference also, one of the main differences between incubation program and the training program for the supervisor side.
Yeah, and we have, for instance, people that were like, for instance, doing accounting previously, and doing like they got a knowledge of machine learning by themselves, and they got accepted, and actually now are working as data scientists. So, for instance, this is also one of the paths of. Okay, so Liana Davayan is asking, can we consider if a company is in idea stage and data is yet to be collected? Also, do you expect from companies to have ML specialists or just researchers with this science? For first question is no, answer is no. So we So we probably we target the companies that already are a business or already have some operations, already have something. So and they probably are going to move. They are beyond the prototype. No, we are not expecting companies to have anything in AI by themselves. All we expect is that they know they understand that they have data or they have access to data. They understand that AI can help them in designing new features or a new business, or can drive a new revenue or give a new new ways of generating money for a company, or they just need to understand, for instance, if AI is applicable in their field, or can they get some results, or are they on a right track or whatever. So and all we need from a company is actually the ability to work with the AI team, and ability to and time and determination to get this process to the end. So Vahe is asking, I saw in slide that applicant will be paired with the supervisor. Does it mean that number of application must match the number of supervisor? If there is a 3-to-1 ratio, how is it going to be handled? No, it's actually number of researcher application. We expect for each for each supervisor and company pair at least have 2 researchers as a group working with them. So at least two students, 2 junior data scientists, or whatever you call it. We call it researchers. Also, if for instance we have 3 companies in financial data, and we have some supervisor that is skilled in financial data, and he really wants to work with all these 3 companies, and he has enough time. There is no restriction not to allow this supervisor to work with the 3 companies together, unless there is some, there's some these companies in the same field, and there can be some problems with the I don't know, the strategy sharing or whatever. But we have no restrictions if some supervisor want to work with the multiple companies. Yeah, and other questions. MA is asking, can you please reiterate a bit details what are the requirements for supervisor? Yeah, so for supervisor, we expect people that have at least 2-3 years in a field of AI, people that have worked 2-3 years as a AI researcher, ML researcher, data scientists in some specific area. For instance, that this can be people that work in the banks, as for instance, working in some projects in banks related to the machine learning, for instance, fraud detection, or there just can be people working, for instance, big companies like, for instance, Singular detecting the working on some ML problems there. This can be people that working in maybe independently or working in a research lab. So all we need is having some 2 or 3 years experience, and it can be specific experience. Like for instance, we can some people that are really spend their time totally on the financial data or tabular data. They know they know all the methods and all perfect statistics and machine learning methods working with the tabular data, but for instance had no experience with the, for instance, image processing or NLP. That's fine. Yeah, so it also can be really like some focus areas for researchers. Okay, any other questions? We want to add, I want to add two more things on the process. So actually, it's actually really going to be a mix of companies that are both kind of startup type companies that are probably will be very, very dependent on IP that's generated in this AI incubator. And also it can be also there will be companies that are will be surprised by research outcomes. And for them, AI is something to be proved that it's working. So actually supervisors also during matching process can also work with the companies that more of a like kind of startups when company is very interested in acquiring or getting these things, or also with the companies that are, for instance, not really AI company. For instance, it's a e-commerce website or e-commerce or I don't know, something like, for instance, delivery, but they have a lot of data and they have questions, and we can okay, so Irshad is asking to follow up the MA's and Mayan's questions. Why would supervisors want to join? What is this product? Okay, so first of all, it's some new. Its ability to work on a different problem and different thing in a field that they are working actually now in their everyday. So it's one of the main reasons to joining. The second, of course, so one of the things, there is a we are going to compensate hours worked on with the companies. So we have a small budget for it. So it's also part of maybe part of why supervisors should join. And of course, maybe the most interesting and most challenging is actually joining this thing can bring a lot of continuing interesting projects for a supervisor, starting that from probably owning a research group that will continue to work on the problems that are started by this program, and ending like with having some patents, for instance, or having some very bright collaborations with the companies that are here in our batch. So yeah, so this is on motivation.
Yeah, I can share my experience from last year. So as you know, Vazgen and I were supervising, like both of us were supervising last year, and I have an immense passion towards data science. But apart from this passion, I mean, the experience you have is very unique. I'm still in touch with these excellent people I've met, both the researcher students and the companies. I'm working with them. I'm talking to them on day-to-day basis. If I open my Telegram chat, you will see that I've been talking to them yesterday as well. So it's like an excellent experience. And at the same time, well, yes, we call ourselves as a supervisor, but like you're learning during the lifetime. Like, yes, that's why it's called lifelong learning. So this is a very nice learning opportunity for us supervisors as well. Okay, so there's a lot to learn for us as well, because machine learning, AI, is so wide field. You cannot ever say that I have experience with every single custom component of machine learning. Okay, there's always a problem which is very non-traditional and requires very creative thinking, and this is when you basically experience the satisfaction of coming up with a creative solution that you think probably nobody would guess. Well, probably there would be someone else who would guess that solution, but still this is a great satisfaction. And as a supervisor, both of us, I bet, learned a lot from these projects that we basically may not have had the experience previously.
Yeah. For instance, for sure, some of the supervisors will want to, for instance, they have, like, for instance, they know that, for instance, some exotic, or now it's not so much exotic, but like, for instance, 2 years ago it was a bit exotic, for instance, things in reinforcement learning, for instance, they start working for some data sets or some environments or some things, and the people actually, and you want to try to use it for somewhere, but it's very hard to find the real production data set, and that is the problem, and also the environment when you actually can really code this agent or get this policy or get this or made this thing work and see the result, actual results on a business. Is it like really behaving magically as it's in a paper, or in a, like, this clean data set or in this clean environment, or no, it's behaving really differently, it's really having a lot of drawbacks, and yeah, and in the paper there's a lot of things that it doesn't actually they after didn't tell it. And it's an excellent opportunity to try all these things and try and one of the things, try not alone, because you are having your peers, your us, and you are having the students, researchers together, so you are not alone, and all this can bring a lot of new things, new experiments, new. For instance, for me, I never used to do anything with robotics, and never expected. I never touch anything related to the robotics and robotics experience and machine learning problems in robotics. Of course, I know that there's a perception, there is some things with the, I don't know, control, but I never actually read any paper that was like was relating to the using actually robotics there. But for instance, I got this experience and it's changed a lot of my mindset as a researcher, as a engineer, because it brings a lot of perspective to my world.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions now. send us any. Okay, we have another question. Why is asking, given one supervisor, one applicant pair, how much time weekly is expected from supervisor? Yeah, so this is answer to a question by John. It's about 2 hours week per project. We are expecting to from supervisor to like devote. So this we think beyond like just it's just a meeting with the group, think like sometimes guiding, sometimes guiding all together, and solving the problems that are arising, or suggesting papers that should be read by students, or suggesting ways of implementing. Probably supervisor knows the like for instance the best libraries that already have some things implemented, or best strategy to already try some things, and then go to the some unknown places, unknown papers. Yeah. So we have another question from Gary Vartanyan. For the startups that apply, how far along do they need to come along before applying? Yes, of course. Actually, we don't. We actually use the word of like kind of a company in the application, not a startup. But yeah, for startups, they expect at least. As a company, we should know the. Should be a business like to know the field they are operating in. It has own data, or know access, or know how to generate data, or know how to access data, and it doesn't. It has like some wide understanding of a business, so it will not say that I only need this one perfect algorithm that matches, like for instance A to B. It can the company can give a multiple business challenges, and probably during AI incubation we can solve just one of them or maybe all of them. But we are able to. We are not just like, for instance, it's not just one-way street or just one-way problem. And yeah, so the company itself has some people there, and that will be willing to constantly support with the business questions, with the different giving data, making sure like if some, for instance, questions are in data, or in a spend time with us, because the research process is always like asking a lot of questions about the data, about the business process, about, for instance, things about like many different things. For instance, we were working with some CRM company in a previous batch, and actually not CRM, but the company the data was very similar to CRM data. And for instance, there was a lot of insights that we are getting from business owner, because business was like, for instance, we detected that we have this anomaly there, and oh no, and then we were getting this is not anomaly, this was just crazy non-working days in Armenia, like for 2-3 weeks, and that's why these weeks we can remove them from a data set, right? But if you don't know that knowledge, you just are blind. You are like kind of it's very hard to get something out of that data. So Artur Varteresyan is asking, hi, if someone knows about CNN and how to work with it, PyTorch, can he apply? Sure. It's not for supervisor, but like for researchers calls that we will open very soon. This is for sure they can apply, and we can see how much deep knowledge of the machine learning is people has, and if there is some good opportunity and good and supervisors that we already selected things that we will get this all during the interview, and if everyone thinks that there is a great opportunity to join and to the program, for sure we'll do everything to join. Okay, so one of the so feel free to PM us anything, any questions, anything. We are very open to share anything related to this program. We are not just expecting that this will be just only a research we got, like, for instance, poor research results last time, like not very much, for instance, applicable, but for instance, the results can be published. And for instance, but for other cases, we got like a really interesting pieces of technology that then evolved into a real part of a product in a different companies. For instance, we got a cybersec company that, for instance, gets some malware protection IP using AI. That was, for instance, is used now in a real product. Yeah, and for instance, some stuff in coin stats, when some cryptocurrency cryptocurrency related stuff is analyzed by machine learning models. Yeah, and also robotics things, like some of the stuff developed for robots that are used in some hospitals now are developed in here. Okay, if there is no more questions, thank you very much for joining our presentation. Again, feel free to send us any questions, anything. We will be very happy to answer. And yeah, so keep in touch, and we will have another info session for students, researchers, more, when we will have more of like a clue of how much, what companies, what researchers, what companies, and what supervisors we have. So yeah, so we will meet again, and thank you, Ranjan.
Yes, thank you very much. We are looking forward to your applications. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. And have a nice evening.
Have a nice evening. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.